Hey guys, it's History Behind the Warrior, and today I'll be speculating and predicting some of the characters that we can expect to see in Soul Calibur 6. Now for the most part, this is a very fun kind of prediction video, so do take the people who I mention here as a grain of salt, because really anyone can kind of be on this roster, and there are a lot of possibilities here. Now since Soul Calibur 6 pretty much has been confirmed as a reboot of the series, I will for the most part be using a large majority of the characters we in fact see from the original Soul Calibur game. But in saying that, I'll also include fan favorites that came along later down the line. I'll also be taking into account some of the apparent leaks we've had over the last 2 weeks or so, as all of the ones that we've in fact heard about seem to kind of be an obvious choice for them to in fact be included here. Now before this starts off, this is also a prediction video, not a wish list video, so there is no form of bias of who's on here. So please do understand that the people I in fact feature on here are from stuff I've either heard or seen. Now with this game pretty much being a reboot of the series, we need to go to the first ever Soul Calibur game, which really introduced us to the main cast of characters that fans had become familiar with. Now the two we have to talk about here, as they have been featured in the Soul Calibur 6 trailer, is Sophitia and Mitsurugi. Now in my trailer analysis and breakdown, they also featured an image of Nightmare, which more or less does confirm him to be in the game, and let's face it, Nightmare's kind of the big bad of the series anyway, so he was kind of confirmed to be in there from the release of the trailer. Now we also have to talk about the wielder of Soul Calibur in this game, not Siegfried but Shanghua, who was the unknown wielder of Soul Calibur, as it had taken shape of a Chinese sword. And since the game is kind of called Soul Calibur and it is a reboot, it seems quite safe to say that Shanghua will be in the game. Now there are rumors floating about that Kilik will be the main protagonist of the game, which is indeed possible, as not only did he feature in the first Soul Calibur game, but he assisted Shanghua in the defeat of Nightmare and Inferno. Now we've also heard word of Siegfried being involved in some form of way. Now this should be quite interesting, as Siegfried is in fact the host of Soul Edge during the first Soul Calibur game, so we may see him be used in some form of internal conflict within Nightmare. Or for story purposes, this Soul Calibur game could span over a few of the game, meaning that Siegfried would eventually break away from Soul Edge's control. Now the other two leaks that we've heard about are about Talim and Tira, which doesn't really surprise me, as these characters are in fact fan favorites, but didn't in fact feature in either Soul Edge or the first Soul Calibur game. So if these leaks are in fact true, then it seems like they're going for characters that they know fans like. Now the last and final leak is the character known as Zhao Samao, which I do have to admit is a bit of a surprise for me, because as far as I know, he doesn't have a massive following behind him. But in saying that, he's also a former wielder of Soul Edge, so he could play quite an important role in the main story. Now a character I actually do expect to see in the game is the pirate Cervantes, as he was the original villain back in Soul Edge, and the entire time he's ever kind of featured in the Soul Calibur series, he's always wanted to reacquire his lost weapon. So I think that's a fairly good way of writing him into the roster, even if he doesn't really play a big part in the main story. And since we're here on this topic, let's talk about Ivy. Now Ivy is easily one of the fan favorites of the series. It's quite understandable to see why, but she has a very unique playstyle and kind of became an iconic sex symbol for not only this game series, but for the gaming industry as a whole. So she has most definitely made her mark. Now in terms of story, in the original game she was part of Nightmare's forces, so I could see her playing a very similar role in this game, but adding some conflict to her story, because in the first Soul Calibur game she wanted to destroy Soul Edge, but didn't actually realize the weapon that Nightmare had wielded. Now two other characters I can see be introduced into the game are Voldo and Astroth, as the two were introduced into the game in Soul Calibur as part of Nightmare's forces. So much like Ivy, I can see them playing a very similar role in this game, because well, you kind of need bad guys to beat up in the story mode. So I could see these two being very good antagonists to have, even if they did have to end up being punching bags because of story purposes. They're very good characters in their own right, but you can't go through an entire story mode and not beat up one of the villains in the series. Now another character I could definitely see being in this game is Maxi, because he does in fact help out Shanghua and Kilik during the end of the original game. Plus Maxi does have quite a large fan base behind him, so I feel like leaving him out would actually be a very bad choice. Now I'm pretty sure that this one's a given, as he's never actually missed an installment in both the Tekken franchise and Soul Calibur franchise. Yoshimitsu. This guy has literally been in every one of those games, albeit there's different Yoshimitsus. The character has never ceased to turn up in any of the installments, so I'm pretty sure that this one will definitely happen. Even if he doesn't play a pivotal role in the story, the character is always around. Now a character that no doubt in my mind that is going to be revealed soon is Taki. She's an OG of the series and has been around since Soul Edge, and although for the most part she works from the shadows, she played a very important role in the first Soul Edge game, assisting Sophitia in defeating Cervantes. From that point onwards in the original timeline, she wishes to track down all shards of Soul Edge so she can finally purge and destroy the weapon. So because of her popularity and how intertwined she is into the actual story of the game, I think she has a very high chance of being revealed sometime soon. Now I do feel like they're going to throw in a few random and extra characters into the roster here, just to kind of fill it out and appease to more fans, because well, more characters mean more sales, and let's face it, it's always quite nice to have a character you like on the roster here. But the characters I've mentioned here are ones that I'm 90% sure that will actually be in the game, so really that's kind of 18 core characters for the main story mode. Now I don't expect all of these 18 characters to actually be used to their full potential, as it is a fighting game, so they'll never get around to everyone, but that's a strong roster and choice of characters you can have to actually be in the main story, and that's excluding any of the new additional characters they're going to be introducing to this game to help this kind of reboot. So I'm going to be very interested to see what they actually do here, as I do love the Soul Calibur franchise, and I'm very intrigued what they're going to do with the original material here. But yeah, that's kind of it for this video. Let me know your actual wish list for Soul Calibur 6. I'm very interested to hear what people have to say, because the trailer last week has really kind of revived the Soul Calibur community, and it's absolutely fantastic to see it flourishing once again. And just a heads up, you guys will be getting another Soul Calibur video this Saturday, where I'll be talking about the history of Yoshimitsu, so please do keep an eye out for that. Now before this video wraps up guys, if possible let's try getting it to about 500 likes. It's a great way of supporting this channel, as YouTube's ad system is broken as hell, so by giving it a thumbs up it helps out a ton. And if you'd like to go the extra step, we also have a Patreon set up, and a link for that will be down in the description below. Anyway, as always guys, please comment, like, subscribe and share this video with everyone you know. Please take care, and I'll see you all next time.